Hello everyone, it's me, Tracilyn, also known as VCAT, and it is February the 3rd, 2019, 8:35 p.m., and it is Sunday. I am coming up on my 10th year anniversary when I came from the George Washington Bridge here to Dayton, Ohio in 2009. Came to Xenia, shared my whole entire life story about what that was like. I had left Ohio several times, not because I was running from anything, for various reasons. Sometimes I got asked to leave the house that I was staying at. Other times I really felt led on a mission for God to be doing things. And can I tell you that my life became very bizarre, and I realized that people were electronically harassing me during the times that I was especially an escort. If you're an escort and you're alone, know that you're not alone. And you know, whether it's me, whether it's other people that you can associate with, you need to reach out to people and be okay with speaking open and honest about what you're going through. If you are in the adult entertainment industry, you are being watched via satellite very closely, and chances are you have a chip in your body, which means they can monitor everything you're doing, and when you talk, it's audible so they can hear the microphone when you speak. I don't know exactly how it's all done, but I just learned that that's what has happened to me. And from the other people that I know and witnessed through their depression or their stress and their anger, I've seen symptoms of what appears to be electronically harassed. Okay, now the main subject was about copyright, and yes, Tim McGraw. Are you still listening to Tim McGraw from 1995? This was really big in my life. I was big into the 80s, okay? 70s was disco, and John Denver, and Barbra Streisand, Chris Christopherson, Bread, if you're familiar with the Eagles as well. America, bands like that. And then into the 70s, it was a lot of disco. Like later years in the 70s, 80s started to become more rock and roll, AC/DC, Bon Jovi, Cinderella, Skid Row, a whole bunch of people. I love Joan Jett, was my favorite female singer. I don't really care for, obviously, the people I once did because of what I had endured and gone through. And whether it's these people directly, okay, or the people who are connected to them, that because I find it hard to believe that rock and rollers have spare time on their hand, that much spare time to be able to write songs, play on tours, and all that other stuff while they're electronically harassing people. So are they not? Do they all team up and take turns, like on a social network, and just disturb people for whatever reason? Who knows? But nevertheless, in the 90s, I met a wonderful girl who introduced me, at the time, to my dog Riggs Michael, a boxer, also to country music. And one of her favorites was Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. She also loved Shania Twain. I loved Terry Clark, Toby Keith, and Billy Ray Cyrus was my all-time favorite at the time. Out of all the recording artists, that's the one that I favored the most. Coincidentally, I don't think it's all that great once I find out I'm living in Ohio and I'm finding out, and you hear rumors of people like Billy Ray Cyrus who steal influences. What I mean by that, not outright physical, but they're taking inspiration by observing other people who are perceived in society as less fortunate, and they're applying what they're applying to in their careers. Okay, and long story short, I don't like his daughter at all, Miley Cyrus. I can't stand her. In my opinion, the Cyrus family is a bunch of a-holes. And I don't want to focus on that. With this Tim McGraw, All I Want Is a Life, She Never Lets It Go to Her Heart. I like it, I love it. That was one of my favorite songs in this era that I was listening to. I like it, I love it, I want some more of it. I thought that was a great song, and it inspired me for a lot of the stuff that I write today, like Mr. Right Now, that's the one of my new studio album, and as well as Ragtop Cadillac, mainly because it's kind of a comical song, and I used to love going to fairs and carnivals and stuff, and that's kind of sets the vision of the story is similar to that. And let's see. I think that's just me and when she wakes up. Anyway, there's a lot of songs on here. It's 12 songs. Okay, now I know that especially in country music, as far as to what I say when it comes to finances and stuff like that, there's a lot involved. I myself, when it came to music, I was one of the fortunate ones who have broken even and profited a little bit to go towards the recording of to further my music. In other words, when I did music sales, I was not national. I was not signed to a worldwide distribution. I've heard a lot of horror stories by Curb Records. Evidently, the owner of Curbs, or used to be, is a real a-hole. Okay, so it's good that I didn't specifically get involved in country music with Curb Records, because I don't like jackasses that aren't fair to the people. Okay, I'm not saying they are or not, but evidently Curbs is a real asshole, from what I heard. So when I went down to Nashville, I didn't want to be anywhere near Curb Records. I don't know what else was all down there that I was looking into, but what I'm getting at is I knew and I believed in my songs, and I really wanted to further my musical endeavors, to do my own thing. Long story short, when things did not work out for me, I decided after a lot of prayer, reading the Bible, and going to church, that it's not for me anymore. That season of time is up. Not because I'm old, but because I'm becoming intelligent. And I don't really want to spend the rest of my life working my ass off in the manner that I was, the way that I was, and having very little time to really enjoy life and do the things that I wanted to do. Unfortunately, I also was dealing with a lot of psychological, not a disorder, worldly affairs. And I learned through studies of the Holy Bible and psychology that we aren't taught right when we're in school. We're lied to. And the government, is about as real as one of Dolly Parton's wigs. Is that how you would say it? Or one of her breasts. Okay. And the truth of the matter is, when you realize that, you're not being taught right when you go to school. You're also being distorted when you're in school. So you start to develop what they call a learning disability. It's not a learning disability. It's distorting it. They're sending wavelengths into your head, and it's making it very challenging for you to comprehend information is what they're doing. Okay, kind of like static electricity, I guess you could say. Interference. They try to cause interference with the mental status of our children. With that being said, when I came into hard times, I started escorting. I ran into a lot of things that I talked about there, but I never lost hope or desire, passion or dream to continue on in doing musical endeavors different. And I explained about all of that. I really wanted to get more involved locally at the time, and I also wanted to connect with other songwriters and people in the music industry. Not Tim McGraw. If I would have saw him back in that day, I would have just talked to him and, maybe smacked him on his ass or something. That's about it. But the truth of the matter is, my problem is not with Tim McGraw the man. There's a big difference. I don't know nothing about him. And I gotta be honest, I don't want to know anything about him. When I look back at the way that I have been approached by people in the music industry, they were leading me, maybe, into the presence of people like Billy Ray Cyrus or Tim McGraw and Kenny Chesney, or, like Toby Keith, Willie Nelson, and stuff like that. But can I be truthful with you? That I was always suspicious of people that have been in the dominancy of the mentality of Americans longer than the average person by 2/3, 3/3. In other words, a lot of people in the music industry come and go, but these people have been around for a long time, and something tells me that when you're around for a long time and you start off with somebody like Curbs, who is known to jerk off a lot of people in the music industry, then the truth of the matter is there's a good chance that you yourself are a very strong person, or you are very corrupted with the family. They call them a family. They're Satanists, people who are Satanists. Okay, they dominate over the masses of people. And they try to grab hold, because it's all psychological, they try to grab hold of people's thought process to screw up their lives and to destroy them. Okay? They do this through religious communities, they do this in the schools, but nobody ever really says how they do it. I'm telling you how. Electronic harassment, okay, via satellite. They're watching us like you look on Google Map and you see things. They have stations throughout the United States, throughout the planet, and they put a target on the human race, especially those who are very high-spirited, fun, free-living, loving people. When I say about with Tim McGraw, I'm not saying necessarily that he is an example that I'm pulling out of thin air, okay? I'm not trying to down him as a human being. What I'm saying is, I'm pissed that in '95, I'm listening to Tim McGraw, I go and I sit on the hood of my car, and I write a song that is just as good as any one of these on this CD, or even better. Especially over the years, I start writing songs even better than what's on here. Now, with that being said, and consistently, by the way, with that being said, I'm not trying to be a smartass. With all the people that I approached, and all the no's, or all the refusal, or all the excuses, or all the phones that hung up, it starts to be very frustrating when you're reaching out, and you're reaching out, and you're reaching out, and you start realizing that Satanists actually, through electronic harassment, have the means to work into the thought process of other people to get them to cut off the circulation of life. When somebody's presenting you a hit song, what is considered realistically a hit song, why would you tell them no? There is no favoritism. It's God in human form. I'm a God form. Okay? I'm coming to you, I have a song, I have 2, I have 3, I have 10. Okay? A hit song is a hit song, you're a publisher. Shop the song around, get it on the radio, get other recording artists who sing people's songs. They're looking for hit songs all the time. Get it into the movies. Call Disney. Call Sony. Call these people and make shit happen. Okay? I'm just as good as anybody else. I can be a songwriter. There's a lot of things I could have done with my life. Okay? And I was reaching out to do these things, only people kept interfering and cutting off the circulation of life. And because of all the no's, and I did not get a lawyer and I did not sue these people, I just walked away and figured, it isn't worth all the stress and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of selfish people. Okay? With that being said, when I came back here in Dayton, Ohio, I was reading the Bible. I wanted to get involved, at least in a local community. I don't need to be talented to do this. My days of trying to be anything that I once was, perfectionist, if you will, I was not an interest of mine. I have a heart. I want to connect with the human race, only there's this weird energy that won't let me do it. Okay? Why? I don't know why. I'm reaching out to try to love people, and instead of letting them let me love them or their children, I'm getting shunned. Continuously. I'm getting kicked out of people's homes every time I try to be myself and do something I really want to do. Because our government promotes more about cancer and diabetes and all the awful things, Alzheimer's, on the television, they don't teach us how we should feed ourselves, how we can feed ourselves. Are you in the process of being homeless? Are you hungry? They don't teach us this on television, and they sure don't educate us in our schools, in our public schools. Okay? With that being said, it may sound foolish, but I'm traditional. You reach out for work. That's what I was doing. I was trying to get work. Unfortunately, you live in America, and the government doesn't give a shit as far as to regulating what people are getting paid per hour. Do they? No, they don't. Exactly. And then you go in and you try to eat with that. You try to live with that. You try to drive your car just to go to work to pay for the gas to go for that Bush family, you bunch of a-holes. All right? You're selfish pigs. Are you the oil people of the earth down in Texas? You're selfish assholes. Okay? The whole state of Texas. Oil? You're selfish. That isn't your oil. That's God's oil. And you're being very selfish to the rest of frickin' Americans and humanity. You don't own it. And I'll tell you what, most of the oil people and fuel people and people that have the big money in America and abroad, chances are they get it through electronic harassment. Okay? In other words, if they want something, they'll get you out of the house or get you out of the property so they can have the property. Then they send people around buzzing around to let you know you're being watched. Well, how do they know this stuff, Tracilyn? How about a chip in your head? Not in the front, they put it in the back. And then when the electrical beam of whatever it is from the satellite comes, they can see right through your eyes what you're looking at. What do you think of that? Just like looking at this video. But you're taught different in America, okay? You know how many people used to be locked up in mental institutions that would tell them that they're having sensations of like celebrity people coming up and telling them that they're going to get married someday? Okay? The same thing that happened to me with Junior, Elvis Presley Jr., okay? Similar things that were said in that conversation were said to people who ended up in mental institutions claiming the same stuff. I'm not crazy. I'm very intelligent. I was being stalked. I was being harassed by people in the music and entertainment industry, okay? And I explained all that, so I don't want to keep on going there. Is my problem directly with a man? Well, it depends, on where his thought process is, maybe the moment that I'm speaking about this. But I should not be going down to a local truck stop in Ohio and hearing a Tim McGraw song that was released years ago, okay? If for any other reason it's psychologically damaging in the fact that it sends off mixed signals that he's something special, I am not, and same with the rest of America, okay? Chances are 80% of Americans could outperform, outright, and outsing Tim McGraw. He's nothing more than an average person, okay? I'm not trying to be an asshole, I'm being real. So what makes him more special? Well, I'll tell you what makes him more special is the fact that he's in a unity of family members. And they take care of themselves and they dominate over everyone else. And when somebody like Tracilyn's coming along, not to Tim McGraw, to other people, okay, with a song, they don't want outsiders submitting their songs, okay? So rest assured, they have what they call their staff. And they take care of their family members, don't they? Yes, they do. Well, here's the thing. If I would have been taught right, and I wouldn't have been listening to Joe Osteen preaching about a fairy tale ass Santa Claus God, I would have just been doing everything myself my whole life. And instead of the government trying to force me to go to school, okay, I would have been at home playing guitar, singing, and getting ready for the life in front of me. Because to be honest with you, only probably, if I'm lucky, 23 to 33% of anything I learned in school in the 11, 12 years that I attended applies into my everyday life. A majority of it is a waste of time. I didn't need to go to school for 12 years. I don't need to go to college to do the things that I do. I'm natural at it, okay? I pick up a guitar and I play the way I want to. Okay? The way that feels best for me. I write out songs in alignment with my heart, not what's perceived as being a hit or a structure to it. They don't have to rhyme. I write what's in my heart and then I sing it with passion. Okay? Sooner or later, I become the master of what it is that I do for me. Now, with that being said, you will find out that when you do stuff like that people are invading your privacy that are tied to Tim McGraw, that are tied to the people in country music, like Billy Ray Cyrus with Miley Cyrus, okay? And there's people who have big money in these people, okay, meaning invested in these people, and they look to people like me who are inspiration, right? Inspiration and can write songs. They want me out of it. They want the songs. They want that whatever inspiration or things that come across with my imagination, things I talk about or things I write down outside of music. And then they apply it in their careers, in their lives. In other words, they use other humans like me as consumption of a resource. And once you realize this in a situation where they like to rub it in your face, and that's what they did to me in 2012, after I got to meet the staff from Lucky Films, with Willie Nelson's crew. Willie Nelson may have been in the house next door. Willie Nelson may have been somewhere on the city block up in Derby, New York, outside of Buffalo, New York that day, or that week, that weekend. But let me tell you something. He was not in the house with me at the time that I got to meet other staff members. Okay, why am I mad about that? Because his name is a name that came up several times, and then I saw him on the Alex Jones show. They tried to make Willie Nelson and his friends, Toby Keith and whoever, Tim McCraw, is it? They try to make people like me think that I'm crazy, okay? And that's why they start floating around when you're on the street, trying to, let's just say, be in your presence without really acknowledging who they are. They want to test you, see who you are, and see if you can acknowledge who they are, because they think that the human race is all conditioned that what they see on TV cannot be in front of them on the streets. And I'm here to tell you, this person is an average Joe. He's nothing special, okay? None of them are anything special. Toby Keith is nothing special, okay? Bon Jovi's nothing special. And the reason that I mention these names is because I'm extremely mad, because in my endeavors in going back and forth to Nashville, it was hinted to me about where Tim McGraw and stuff live. I was staying not too far away from there, actually. And I didn't pay no mind to drive by their homes or nothing. I'm not celebrity hunting, okay? I'm not impressed. I might have been grateful to meet people years ago, and I met a lot of different people in music because I do music. But the truth of the matter is, when I was on the street and I was homeless and I was being threatened all the time to move, I was going through a lot of abuse by, the humiliation and stuff I was going through with the police departments, the false prostitution charges, all of this stuff going on. And here I am, I'm standing down at the Oregon District, and I'm standing over here at Fountain Square. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, but I'm on the street in a cat outfit, playing my guitar, trying to enjoy my life, and all of a sudden these people start buzzing around. And then these people start coming up to me and talking to me, other people start coming up to me and talking to me because they're sending signs about how evil the people in the entertainment industry are. Well, I can be just as evil, okay? You don't scare me, people in the entertainment industry. All I ever wanted to do is play my music and enjoy my life. And when I went down to Nashville, I was going down there for very personal reasons, so that I can connect with other songwriters and the other, human race, that I can have compatibility. It wasn't about what people make it about, which really upset me, okay? The last thing I needed to do was to meet people that were hung on my wall when I was a teenager, okay? Their pictures. I didn't need to see these people face to face. So I don't appreciate them walking up to me. I didn't go down to Nashville, for instance, looking for somebody who lives in New Jersey. I'm smart enough to know to go to New Jersey. I know where he lives. And I never went. I don't want to. What I started to realize is as soon, okay, I can tell you and I can account for every song I wrote when I was here in Ohio, every song I ever wrote, okay, all of them copyrighted. I use specifics, and it usually is identified personally with the life of what I'm going through and the intent as to why songs were written. Okay, so what I did recently is I did, just like I did a copy or a trademark search on the names, and I'd recommend you doing that too if you're into doing things in live performances, etc., etc., or like you're maybe considering pursuing musical or entertainment endeavors. If you use your real name, it's not really that big of a deal. But if you're using a stage name, you want to make sure that you keep a copy burn it to a disk. These crazy psychopaths use Windows. They will send little additions into your Windows updater that can wipe out your computer, that can wipe out files on your computer. They can literally zap your storage, your hard drive, via satellite. How they do it, I don't know. They get the file name or they just go through the files and they can delete it. Okay? Whenever you have something of great importance, make sure you burn it to a disk. Okay? And you keep a copy of that disk somewhere that you feel is going to be safe. I was in at the Dayton, Ohio Police Department recently because I acknowledged that somebody had violated going into my apartment and they evidently had found a key. It was not a past resident, but they watch via satellite people who used to live here and people that do live here in the building or in apartments or in houses or in offices. They watch them via satellite and then they send people, okay, to steal the copies of the keys, either to make copies of it or to take the key, and then they actually enter into the person's property when they know that the person's not there. And how do they know that they're not there? They watch them via satellite. So if you experience a bizarre, what appears to be somebody intruded into your home, somebody took copies of stuff, okay, know this, that they do that, and they know where you are 24 hours, 7 days a week. So they know if you're an hour away, a half hour away, 5 minutes away from your house, and you're busy, because all they got to do is let people know, guess what? And they communicate somehow with the thought process, which means they can transmit words into other people's minds. Was this used for military? I remember when my Ohio daddy had told me in the military that God helped him get through wartime in the airplane. And it finally added up to me where I realized that somehow they were communicating with his thought process, which means that he may or may not still be under the assumption that he is working for either the military, the United States, or he may or may not be a Satanist himself. I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know, because I didn't know anything about him when I first came out here. However, legal papers were taken from my presence when he was the only one that was around, okay? I had woke up to him chanting over top of me. Now, this is a person that I come to love, a person that I really care for and I'm grateful for to help me to get off the bridge. However, I'm here in Ohio for a decade. I never wanted to live in Ohio. I wake up every day, right, dealing with the fact that I'm being electronically harassed. I have to sleep on the floor at times throughout the year because my bed headboard gets infested with bed bugs, because when they zap my brain, the bugs come out of the walls or wherever they are, and then they start going, they end up, I guess they feed off of me, and then they go hide up on the headboard. There's nothing I can do about it because our government doesn't provide a very easy access in, I need to move to another safe location, right? That's in alignment with my heart as well, and maybe that might be safer for me in the fact that I am being jolted by some kind of possibly military equipment, okay? For doing what? Well, let me tell you something. What I've learned is songs are great value. These songs on here, how much money do you think that somebody like Tim McGraw could make? He's singing I Like It, I Love It. Maybe not Tim McGraw, but who's making money off that song? Is it the songwriter? Is it the publishing company? Is it the record company? Did Curb Records sign a lot of deals and get people to, sing albums and then they mass distributed them? Who's making money off of it? Okay? Does it matter? Well, let me tell you something. There's more than the average American makes when doing music. And in my opinion, because of the neglectance that has happened to many people, and many people have lost their lives in their musical endeavors of just becoming, okay? In my opinion, it needs to start being regulated. And people like Tim McGraw should no longer be on the radio anymore. They've been on the radio since 1995. I can prove to you here in my studio that I can outright Tim McGraw. I can prove to you on a Nashville stage that I'll outperform him. I'll prove to you in a photo set that I will outmodel him. Okay? These people are not all that. They're everyday people. Just like you, just like me. Why am I mad and why am I being sarcastic? Because I've reached out to people, and when I finally decided to let it go and go do other things with my life, I was reaching out to like Joyce Meyer's ministry with my music. I was reaching out to Lakewood, Joel Osteen, other churches and stuff. Because I really wanted to do something special with my life, with my music. And I was facing a lot of opposition, and I didn't understand why, because I'm a very kind-hearted person. Well, long and hold, they're praying for you. And what I've started to realize, like when I went up to Stephen in Derby, New York, he left to know that the studio that I was in was also, there was work that was done for Joyce Meyer's ministry. Okay? He left some things slip out about Joyce Meyer's Ministries, which let me kind of know that basically the mega churches here in America and the entertainment people and in the music recording artists, they think they're the shit. And they think they have some kind of special grantation or permission by God's self that they would be in some kind of position that presents them authority, maybe, possibly, to invade the privacy of a person's home. okay, for the better interest of the masses of people. Why don't Joyce Myers, why don't Tim McGraw, why don't Bon Jovi and the rest of them, why don't they stand in front of the cameras and tell you that? And then you be honest in a reply about how you feel if you found out that people or people tied to these people were invading your privacy and taking your life, heart, passion. Why should my ideas that I write in my songs be used for people like Tim McGraw and his family and whoever the heck is his friends and whoever's a record company? Why should they be benefiting from my labor? They shouldn't. And they shouldn't be benefiting from yours either. Okay? Now this happens to everyone. There is no favoritism because I'm convinced that Satan and God and Christ, the Holy Spirit, all that the Bible talks about is real. Okay? I believe that we all been made in a very loving manner by a loving God. For whatever reason, we're enduring not spiritual, but psychological warfare. Okay? And there's a lot of stuff that has been withheld from us our whole life, like the chip in our bodies at birth. Now, with that being said, the people in the entertainment industry, and I don't mean Tim McGraw and whoever, but I'm talking about people that we don't even see with our eyes, are dominating over the masses, and they try to influence and encourage your way of thinking. They do it with people they put on the front line. They're celebrity people. Then when Tim McGraw walks across the screen, and if he has anything to say in a perspective, Toby Keith has anything to say, John Bon Jovi, anybody, Willie Nelson, people who like those people will listen to them talk and they'll fall into agreement that they know what they're talking about. What makes these people any more smarter than you? Exactly, they're not. They're made in the same substance as anyone else. And God cautions us about that in the Holy Bible, about false idols. Okay? There's many of them in America. And also, there's many of them from abroad the planet that come into America and rape the crap out of American citizens as we go into debt on our credit cards so we can go to a rock concert. Okay? You tell me in all honesty, in any concert that you ever gone to, that the ticket price that those people are charging in most situations are really worth it? Is it worth you to use your credit card? Is it worth you to sign a check? Is it worth you to go to work how many hours for that person who gives you a crappy performance in a t-shirt and jeans on a black stage for a limited time of like, what is it, an hour? What's the wait time for you once the gates open and you go in? What's the entertainment like? Do they cater to you? Do you have to stand there and wait and sweat it out? Is the security mean to you at any given point? When they're finally coming out with their opening act that they've been doing for years, what's it like? Is it a 20-minute powerhouse show and then it's over? And then another half hour, 45 minutes before the main act comes out for an hour? Is that it? You mean to tell me these people have been performing for 30 years and the best they can do is work for you for an hour for $100 or $200? How much are you paying for that ticket? When was the last time somebody gave you that much money for you to work for them for an hour? Think about what you're doing in the future. In all honesty, we all love concerts, and we all love getting together in masses of people. But something to reconsider is if you're still paying to see Tim McGraw since 1995, maybe, just maybe, you're failing to acknowledge that Tim McGraw and the people that are connected to him aren't worth it. There are other humans in America. And a lot of humans, I assure you, that simply wanted to get a song to Tim McGraw were probably electronically harassed. They were probably killed. They probably forced them to commit suicide by putting pressure on them. All kinds of things happen in an attempt just to get close to Tim McGraw. And why is that? Because not Tim McGraw, but the people that are surrounded by Tim McGraw, the big money makers, they don't want people getting close to Tim McGraw because they want to make sure that every word that is channeled through him, everything that is done through Tim McGraw is for what it is that they desire in their purposes. In other words, he's just the front for other people's personal heart's desires. That's how all the people are in the front line, not just him. Nashville has been known as an assembly line. And let me tell you something, when there's starving people in this world, in this country, homeless, it is unjust for a songwriter to profit as much money alone in songwriting royalties for a Nashville songwriter and then have 10 other songwriters starving to death while this fat one is collecting royalties and eating high and mighty at McDonald's. Because money has proven in the lives of others doesn't teach them the importance of eating healthy food. Okay? It's bullshit. It's unjust. I have met more songwriters. I have songs right here on my computer by songwriters I met here in Ohio that have greater hits than stuff by Tim McGraw. And it always bugged me why these people weren't signed, not to Curbs, who is known to screw a lot of people, but have not been signed to major deals. Okay? This should be for all of America, and FCC needs to step in. Before, it used to be territorial with the music and radio stations and television and stuff. In other words, each state took care of its own, each major city, etc., etc. And now we have limited few, and they're hogs. They're literally hogs. How many years did you watch the Roseanne show? How many years did you watch Jerry Seinfeld? Reruns. Was it 10 years? Was it 20? Jerry Springer. How long did we watch Jerry Springer? How long have you been listening to Howard Stern? You mean to tell me he's the only person in the whole world that can talk on a radio about the filth that comes out of his mouth most of the time? No, I'm here to tell you not, okay? There's a lot of other people in America that can do just as good as a job, if not better, for the times they're in. And it's freaking sad. It's sad when somebody else has something to offer, and these people connected to Tim McGraw and et cetera, down in Nashville and abroad, most of them don't even live in Nashville. Nashville is a gathering place where they can monitor songwriters who have decided to leave their hometowns and risk life to follow their dreams. And then they use them up, and the ones they see are making steps moving forward. They make sure that they know that they're being watched. Their privacy is invaded, and they take whatever ideas they want for Miley Cyrus. Okay? Because she's the little angel that they want to promote today. Okay? Etc. All the other people as well that you see in mainstream. How many more years are we going to have the Trumps running for the White House? The Bush running for the White House? Huh? We have Obama's 2 little kids coming along. Are they going to be president too? And what about over there with the Presleys? How many more grandchildren are going to be stepping up? Let me tell you something. They want to trick you and fool you into the illusion that these people are the people of royalty. Okay? Most of them are lucky if they can tie their shoes with their eyes closed. You think that's a joke? They're not any better than anyone else. You need to be very careful when you listen and fall into agreement with people on television. When you listen to Howard Stern or anybody else, you're becoming like minds. Don't let your belief system become like Howard Stern's mouth. Okay? This is somebody who reached out to be on the Jerry Springer Show years ago because I was called to be on the Jerry Springer Show. And I've learned that there are people that have been killed being on the Jerry Springer Show because Jerry Springer Show likes to get people, what? Arguing and fighting, outing people on the show. They don't share all the details with you, but it's there. And they were targeting me when I was an escort. When I reached out to just simply be on the show, they denied it. They select their crowd. Now, why could I be on the show if I was willing to pull somebody's wig off their head or out somebody in the sex industry, but I couldn't be on just to be a guest? Good question. What do you think, Steve? Now, I feel pretty good that that's out. I am going to destroy this. It inspired the album I'm working on right now, Ragtop Cadillac. It inspired, my favorite song on here was I Like It, I Love It. And I used it to master Playfully Purple. I don't know if you've seen it. This is Playfully Purple, okay? I guarantee you, Tim McGraw, this album alone, this album right here, as plain and simple as it is, has more to offer than this. And I would put my album up beside yours, every album you ever recorded in your whole recording history. Throw in Kenny Chesney's too, your next door neighbor. I'll throw in my music. I guarantee you I'll outright both of you. And you have staves of people, okay? I'll outperform both of you, and I'll knock your hats off your head, all right? And I'll look better in a pair of booty shorts and your boots than both of you when I do it. I worked my butt off for years, and I was under the influence of alcohol when I thought George Strait was country music, okay? Because that's what they promoted. Willie Nelson was country music years ago, and what's he doing now? Is he still singing the same songs with the same guitar all these years later? I almost died several times as I reached out to publishers, specifically because I believed that I was a great songwriter and I figured my time was up as a recording artist. Ha ha, funny, funny. Now I'm a recording artist doing everything myself, and I have learned a lot in the process of it. It's called people are invading my privacy while I'm doing it, and they're literally taking my ideas, and when I put information in Dropbox shareware folders, people are taking it from me. They're stealing copies of my hard work. Tim McGraw, do you know anything about this? Kenny Chesney? Toby Keith, do you know anything about this? Curb Records? Because they hope people like me disappear through having a hard life. And then they got all these hit songs. They're criminals. Hey, Tim McGraw, how many songs of dead people did you sing in your life? You think one or two? Because they kill songwriters. And then recording artists, within a fraction of the time that they used to, because they're in a hurry, they sing songs by dead people. They use fake names. By law, whenever an album is released, it should be with only living people. Living and proof. And it should be with their legal name that when somebody looks it up, they know that they're still alive. And they know that they can get a contact with them. You should not be allowed to release under fictitious names, especially if you're a recording artist. You're lying to the general public. When you say you're doing that to protect yourself, that's a bunch of BS. You shouldn't do something if you're scared to do it. The problem with America is nobody knows what's real anymore. And what they don't realize, maybe not on this album with Tim McGraw, and maybe not that he knows, but I've learned that people in the music industry try to get really amazing songwriters to just sign them on BMI or ASCAP as publishers, and then they electronically harass them and try to get them to kill them, and then they use their songs for people like Miley Cyrus. In other words, they are the mafia. The people who are tied into the music and entertainment industry, and they're crooks. And they have a total disrespect for God, for Jesus, and for life. They were trying to get me to kill myself for years simply because I had 3 or 4 songs that I took to Toby Keith's old best friend. Okay? Toby, if I knew for sure you had anything to do with that, I'd strip that hat right off your frickin' head and shove it up your ass. You think this person is worth killing for a song? I'm a good-hearted person. I know how to love people, and people you know were taking advantage of me. Willie Nelson. When you come to Dayton, Ohio, Willie Nelson, the next time, I want you to look up Tracilyn Michael. That's my real name. My phone number's on tracilyn.com. I'm looking forward to taking your guitar personally and smashing it. In my opinion, that's what the Satanist should do to you, is smash trigger. Now, why be violent? Because I've heard many stories, Willie Nelson, that had to do with your name. And I don't appreciate people harassing me for years. I didn't do nothing to you, and I didn't do nothing to anyone else. There's a group of people that evidently wanted my songs years ago. That's why the influence was there to go meet with Bret Michaels, okay? That's why I almost died on the bridge. That's why I was led to live in Arizona, but I wouldn't stay. Now, do I know the details and can I prove it? I can't prove it. I can prove what happened because Las Vegas should still have on camera the security 2012. Look it up. Was it June 1st? Was it June 2nd that I was on the Cosmopolitan Bridge and I almost died? I'm sure within the city on the cameras, we might find out whether or not. Was Stryper's friend Bret Michaels in the local area at that time? Was he walking up and down Main Street? For songs? Is that it? Why don't you write songs if you're such a great songwriter? Or do legit business? Let me tell you something. I don't know if it was these people that I talk about. They're frontliners. But there are people that are around them that watch them and monitor them very closely via satellite. They watch their money, okay? I got to meet one of them in Derby, New York. They have signs of psychopathism, okay? They have a hard time being in public. They have nervous twitches. They turn around a lot. They like to show you and tell you how you're going to live your life. These people literally get so lost in this that they down talk the human race, thinking it's funny to see people demise, okay? It's pathetic. I don't care for mainstreamers. Now, what I did quick, I'm gonna destroy this right here. And what that symbolizes to me is that the 90s are over. And songs from the 90s and 80s and 70s and 60s legally, by law, should not be on the radio. Do you know why? Because people, many, make money every time that song's getting airplay. And we should be taking care of people who have evidence, proof, on file that they're alive. No fictitious names. The songwriters are real. In the movies, how does a rich man get rich? They use dead people's property. That's how they do it. If the person's not alive today, they should not be allowed to legally. Okay? If you look at a lot of publishers in Nashville, you will probably find out that a lot of their material that they're publishing still today are by people that no longer exist. Why is that? Because they kill them. They get them to commit suicide. It's easier for people to take a song and do with it whatever they want with it versus working out an agreement in a contract where they actually have to sit down and talk about things. It takes time to do it. If a rich man can take somebody else's property, now they can distribute it and do whatever they want to do with it. And they don't care if they win or lose. It didn't cost them anything. They didn't write. They like to take credit for things they did not do. And by law, being that there's many recording artists in America, people like Tim McGraw, unless he writes his own music, should not legally be allowed to be American distributed. He should have to live off of his own abilities. If he can write a song, there you go. There's too many recording artists like me that write lots of songs, okay? And I record them myself. And then I become homeless because of the selfishness and the greed and the threatening of people trying to kill you because of they want the music or they want your name, okay? Because they'd rather name one of their family members Tracilyn, or they'd rather have Miley Cyrus sing one of these songs like Ragtop Cadillac or Miss Las Vegas. That's why. I don't want them to sing it. Maybe years ago I would have, if they would have approached me decently. Think again before you listen to any one of those songs, like Miley Cyrus, etc. Taylor Swift. Do research. Find out about the songwriters. Are they still alive? You have the right to know that. And they should not be fictitious names by law. You should be able to do research and find out if they're a real, live entity. And if they're not, they shouldn't be allowed to be on the radio anymore. For many psychological reasons. Not to mention, we're here to take care of ourselves today. My battery is about ready to go. I did research on my copyrighted songs. I found out anything from Hillsong, which is connected to Lakewood, down in Texas, to other Christian writers little catchphrases of things that I wrote, like I am thankful. I wrote a song called I Am Thankful, and I wrote it in Huber Heights when I was sitting at my dresser in a puddle of tears because I was warping my mind to try to figure out how and why I'm thankful. And then I find out that somebody released a song right around that time, shortly thereafter. I am thankful because somebody was invading my privacy, Bon Jovi, and somebody transferred what it was that I was doing into the custody of other people. They're making way on my writings. Now, it's not my song in its entirety, it's the generalized idea and concept. But they're doing it by invading my privacy, because in their sense, they can connect to the human race because I'm real. I'm really going through the stuff that I'm going through. If they got to do that to that extent, they no longer should be in the mainstream. In other words, once they made X amount of money, they should no longer be allowed to keep doing what they're doing. They should be able to offer help and assistance to the community at large, helping other recording artists to accomplish what it is they need to. A recording artist that has been on the radio for 40 years is bullshit, when there's people dying that can outwrite them any day. And all these recording artists are doing is singing the same 20 songs every time they go on tour. From 30 years ago. If they can't write for today to go on tour, they should already tells you. That already tells you they shouldn't even be in existence. Happy came out. Happy was inspired to me in 1985 when I wrote a song. I posted it online after I rewrote it when I came out here in 2010. Okay? In 2010. Now, as soon as I start busking on the street in 2012, they took all the ideas that they had gathered. In my opinion, there was a lot of people in music and entertainment industry invading my privacy. When I was writing songs, they were taking ideas and inspiration by invading my privacy and my writings, and then they wrote songs. They know the laws, they know what they can get away with. Anything from titles to catchphrases like I am thankful, repeat it over, okay? Then they go out and they use catchphrases and hooks, all right? They seek out good-looking, hearted people with childlike hearts because they see things from a different perspective. They're very childlike. Okay, so my batteries are going down, and what I wanted to say is I realized this, and it really upset me, all right? This was during the time I was watching Joyce Meyers. I wasn't aware that people were playing God with my life. So anyway, Happy obviously was written years ago when I lived on Lafayette Street. You heard the guy, the landlord comes, says the rent is late, and you don't worry, be happy. That was out. I did research to find out. I don't know if I wrote Happy first or if I wrote Happy thereafter, but it was written around the same time. I wrote mine in 1985. You can do the research there to find out. With that being said, I Am Thankful specifically was written in my love for God, my love to hopefully find something to be thankful for. I started realizing that the bullies in the industry, people that have been around for a long time, are connected to people like Stephen, who invade the privacy of others, and what they try to do is they try to get everybody fighting. I don't know if they plug our minds in together or what they do, but it appears to me that they invade your privacy. I think that they have online accounts and they actually watch people live stream in the privacy of their homes. In other words, I think they go onto a computer and I think they can literally watch me while I'm at home, right? They have cameras via satellite, meaning whoever does, satellite that comes in and it gets close to me. They can hear me talking to myself. I don't know what else they can see, if they can see my Dropbox, my accounts, or what they can. But the truth of the matter is, I'd be willing to bank on it that a lot of the people that you think highly of on television are just as criminal or connected to criminal-like people, probably the worst of kind. So with copyrights, I realized that I have not had anything acknowledged that said I have been infringed upon. They tried to scare me with the dime bag thing, in Columbus. Dimebag got shot because somebody thought, that he had taken one of his riffs or whatever. So in other words, these people purposely try to cause harm into the lives of other people. So who was Dimebag in? Was it Pantera or something? It happened in Columbus. In other words, when people get started, like Jimi Hendrix, like Los Lobos with the airplane and stuff like that, when people get started in their musical endeavors and they have something rare to offer the general masses, that person, despite race or whatever it is, or a cause, will be used for a resource. That is why when I met Jim, Toby's friend, that I was told specifically that when you have a cause, okay, and you have a little hook of something, you will realize that everything that you have done had already been done. They call it a 7-year itch, where they invade your privacy. Evidently, I've learned, they invade your privacy, and every idea that you have, the people in mainstream industry use the information that they gather while invading the privacy of recording artists. And therefore, that explains how people that have been in mainstream radio for years have existed, okay, as long as they did. Where do they get all their ideas, okay? And why should they be generating an income like they do when realistically they can go on one tour and retire the rest of their life if they really wanted to, if they were smart with their money, okay? And they made good deals, right, in contracts. It's a bunch of BS. Don't go for the people on television and radio thinking that they're the people that, you know, are worthy of your hard-earned dollar. When you go to a concert, double check and recheck, you know. Are any of the people that Tim McGraw is singing songs about, are these people still alive? Are they real names? All of them. Because you shouldn't be paying to see Tim McGraw sing dead people's songs. And if he says it's out of respect for people he loved, well then it's out of respect for people he loved. That's his freedom of choice. However, just know this, that I have learned that Nashville is extremely corrupted, and I want to go down to Nashville. Hey, Tim McGraw, why don't you fly me down to Nashville so I can share my life story on what happened to me when I was at the Commodore and I met Stephen C. Johnson? And I'd be walking around Nashville and I started to realize that it's a very satanic ran city. I love Nashville, by the way. I love Nashville very much. The people I met there were very kind. However, that's where I met the corrupted person that invited me to New York. They were tied to Willie Nelson, Tim McGraw. I'd love to come down there and share my story, what exactly happened. But see, I'm poor, Tim. I don't get songwriting royalties for my music. I was always too smart to sign with a company like Curb Records, who has been notarized as ripping people off for years. Now, what's my problem? My problem is, this is my last video for a while. I don't want to talk about my past anymore, and I want the people in mainstream music industry to bug off. I am being electronically harassed all the time because literally I'm convinced that they want my music, okay? They want the songs, they want the ideas, and they want Tracilyn gone. That's why you see the Todd Michael Band. I'm not saying him, but that's why you see the Todd Michael Band, because they try to get to me, okay? They use people's hard labor. When they transition in their life or they die or whatever it is, then they pick up the name, they pick up the songs, they pick up whatever. They wait, they watch for the great hit songwriters. They watch them, they try to kill them, okay? They want their possessions, that's it. Now, all this started because I ended up meeting, from what I remember, Jim, Toby's friend, and Dean, who had mentioned to me a lot that day. I met a lot of other people in the industry. They never spoke clearly on how it's done. For instance, Andy left me know while he was at a concert in Cleveland, Andrew C. Strauss. Now we have a female guitar player by the name of Strauss. Let me ask you something. Is her name really Strauss? I don't know if it is or not, but is it? By law, people in music and entertainment industry should not be legally allowed to use fake names. They should not have stage names. They should have to use their real name. If they're not brave enough to stand on a stage with a real name, they shouldn't be there, okay? Because there are some people in life that have no problem standing on a stage using their real name, okay? With that being said, I'm going to get going. Tim McGraw, this album has impacted my life greatly for years. In the 90s, into the 2000s, When I was living on the road as an escort. I like it, I love it, used to channel through this body and get me into a state of mind that I really realized I was blessed. Drove lots of country roads in the mountains back in Lebanon, Pennsylvania, Lickdale, back at Indiantown Gap, listening to this album. It was my favorite song for a very long time. It inspired me to write songs that I write today that I kick ass with. The problem is, at stake, I'm sick of walking in to a truck stop during Christmas season. You see, Tim, I always wanted to write Christmas songs. I always wanted to write and dabble with all kinds of songs, and I was hoping someday I would get a publishing deal. And when I get a publishing deal, I would be able to write for a diverse publisher, meaning somebody who likes all kinds of music and shops them around to major distributions and recording artists within the music industry around globally. Okay, why is that? Because I realize that I have a very childlike spirit, and I realize that I can pick a subject and be used as a channel to write major hit songs. With that being said, do I want the same things anymore? No, I don't. Because I realized how corrupted things are in the industry, in the world. Okay? And I realized how they target innocent, loving, caring people. With that being said, I get very, very, very frustrated when I go in and I hear a Tim McGraw song on a pilot truck stop radio station, and it's not a Tracilyn song. Why is that? Because I hear a song and I get pissed because I know I can outright that song. Because we've heard that same song day in and day out for many, many years. And to be honest with you, Timothy, I'm sick of frickin' hearing your songs on the radio when I know that there are millions of people in America. There's all kinds of songwriters out there. And it's about time that people wake up and snap out of it and acknowledge it's not the same 30 people. When I was down at the Commodore, Steven told me, do you know how many people get signed to a major label in any given year? I said, no, how many? He said 30. And I laughed and I weakly said, this year it'll be 31, meaning me. Okay? 30 people out of millions? I don't buy it. Something seems a little crooked to me if only 30 people out of how many million people live in America are being signed to a major deal. Okay? And how many songwriters is that per recording artist? Okay? It's unjust. Everybody knows the big money in America, worldwide, is in entertainment. Okay? Specifically with music, right? Let us not lie about it, especially when it comes to live performances. With that being said, when somebody has a willing heart and they have something to offer in exchange for a beautiful life, it should be granted, and it should all be in writing, despite the publisher impersonator that told me very little in this business gets put in writing. I'm here to tell you everything in life needs to be put in writing. All right, I am done. Tracilyn from Dayton, Ohio. Constantly being electronically harassed. Why is that? Because they were trying to finish me off so they could have my songs years ago. Okay? They knew about me once I got out of the music business and I started escorting and they realized who I was. At some point, they literally tried to get me to jump off the bridge. They did the little demonic thing in New Jersey. Okay, serious attacks on my life, okay? With that being said, I'm not going anywhere for years. I'm convinced I'm gonna be around for a long time. I have more songs to write, more songs to record. I got 5 more albums. And because I'm a student of Joyce Meyer's, I painfully applied her teachings into my life and I got very unhealthy, very incompatible results. Okay, let me show you what I got. Tim McGraw, why don't you go get Faith Hill and Kenny Chesney, and then you can gather around the TV and look at this. I want you to see something. You fucking selfish pigs down in Tennessee. I ought to drive down there and knock your hats off your head. You're nothing special. I'll outsing both Tim McGraw and his pretty wife, Faith, and I'll look better than both of them in lingerie. Now check this out. See this? Hey, Kenny, check it out. Why don't you go get Toby and Willie Nelson? Look at this shit. This is my apartment that I trusted God for, being a student of Joel Osteen and Joyce Myers. Look at this. Look at all the bugs. I got to sleep with this every day of my life. Do you know why? How much more do you want to see? It's all over this headboard. How much more do you want to see? Notice my pillows are at the opposite end. Why is that? Because I can't sleep here because the bugs will eat me. Okay? And why is that? Because I'm getting electronically harassed, and when I lay here on my bed and they're beaming me and they're sizzling my brain, these bugs are coming from wherever they're coming from because they either smell the juices of my brain sizzling through my body, the fresh aroma that it is, or when they send electric energy pulses onto my body, it also vibrates and it draws the attention of the bugs into my presence, into the bed. This is going on all over Dayton, Ohio, by the way, which lets me know this is much bigger than just a few people in the music and entertainment industry. Americans are under serious attack, which would be reason for possibilities of war against a country, against a group of people. Just because you don't see the missiles, you don't see the bullets, you don't see the grenades, doesn't mean that we're not being attacked. Now, why am I showing this to Tim McGraw? Because when I went down there to Nashville, I slept with hundreds, maybe thousands of cockroaches. Okay? Desperate times calls for desperate measures. Meanwhile, I have songs to offer. Hey, Tim, why don't you go onto my website at Tracilyn.com and listen to my songs? Get ready, because I have another album that's coming along that'll kick any album you ever freaking goddamn released in your life and your wife. Yet I'm a poor peasant, but I don't want to be. That's just what happens when people keep on neglecting you in the music business. There's no reason why Billy Ray couldn't have called me up. Instead, I guarantee you what they want. They want Tracilyn gone, and then they can use the songs however they want and divvy up the money between them. That's what people do in the music industry. They're crooks. Now, am I saying that anyone specific does it? I don't know if they do or not. I'm sure a lot of recording artists got high on singing a dead person's song, didn't they? It's freaking pathetic. Did they say and make up stories how they left it for me? Is that it? I highly doubt it. Chances are they were reaching out. Will you sing my song? But hey, why would you sing the song when somebody can make a couple $100,000 off the royalties for just being a writer? Huh? If that album goes, baby, we're talking some major royalties then. Why don't you tell Americans how much you make off of each song for being a songwriter? Okay, all of my batteries are going. Anyway, this is where it ends. Okay, there were other things like I Know video that I did. If you look at my I Know on my YouTube, you will find out there used to be another song that was named I Know, and the video was identical, almost identical to what it is that I did. These people play head games with not only me, with people. The cyberbullying, the people that are on YouTube, a lot of times they make up false view counts and subscriptions and give these people under the impression that they're quite popular, and then they extinct them, meaning they take off all the numbers and stuff and they play games with them and they close their accounts. And by law, they should not be allowed to do that. YouTube should not be able to close accounts, okay? There should have to be a legit reason, a court order, meaning that they should have to go to court first before YouTube shuts down somebody else's account. Because it's your life. It's not about money. It's not about monetization or none of that. It's about life. You're trying to communicate with the rest of the world. A lot of people's lives would get straightened out, and so would America, just because people are using YouTube and they're being true to themselves what they want to do. People fall in love. People relocate because of this. People get employment. People get opportunities that would not normally be there. It's bullshit. YouTube, shame on you. Facebook, whoever you are. Mark is more likely just a front person, okay? Not real. The person that ended up going there to YouTube headquarters was cyber harassed. A lot of those suicides, like Amanda Todd, she put out a picture of herself naked. This draws very evil people within the entertainment industry, Satanists in general. They see somebody like that, they automatically cyberbully them and attack them mentally and get them to commit suicide. Look it up online. This is real, okay? Very real. So Tim McGraw, I like it. I love it. I personally think you should retire because there's people nowadays that have something different to say. Like it's hard to be an escort. Okay, there it is. Say goodbye. This was one of the greatest songs in my life that I used to listen to. I used it to master my first Playfully Purple album because I needed a good example of guidelines so I could EQ everything and master it and get the quality that I got. And now it's no longer useful to me. It got me through my 20s. It got me through my 30s, and it helped me in the studio. And now I realize when I went in to the truck stop and I heard a Tim McGraw song and not a Tracilyn song, I realized it's bullshit. It's time to say goodbye to Tim McGraw forever. I think we should start a trend around America where we take Tim McGraw and Faith Hill CDs and we destroy them. Kenny Chesney, Toby Keith, Willie Nelson. It's time to destroy them, okay? Destroy the albums. They made more than enough money. They had the chances in life that many people died because they weren't given the blessing. A lot of people lost a lot in their life because of these road hogs, Toby Keith. And in my opinion, on commercial radio, AM, FM, satellite radio, television, national, that should be shared quarters for all Americans. Not just people with an agenda that they want to select 30 people, like Steven said, to make money off of, okay? A lot of those 30 people sing people's songs of people that ended up killing themselves, okay? And it's because they were electronically harassed by Satanists who want the songs, they don't want the writers. It's easier to navigate that way. And I've heard enough, I witnessed enough, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of hearing people on the radio like Steven Tyler, like Faith Hill. It's not that I didn't care for their music at their time, but Jesus Christ, if I'm hearing the same song when I was 15 years old as I am when I'm 47 going on 48, we got a major problem in this country, okay? And Elvis Presley, who I love a lot, and is on, mentioned in one of my songs that I'm going to be singing on my album, he was the king of rock and roll to a lot of people, but he wasn't really a true king. And we don't know if he really killed himself or not. And in my opinion, if he did not kill himself that day, then Elvis Enterprise should have to go away. Because a lot of people killed themselves because when a celebrity dies or they kill themselves, a lot of people go crazy. So if like Prince, for instance, faked his death, then he should be apprehended. He should be incarcerated, okay? Because there's a lot of people who love these people a lot, and then they end up taking their lives because their celebrity people did. And don't forget, Satanists are aware of it, and they watch them. They invade the privacy of others, and they know this. And then they use that on the human race to try to get them to do things. Just like with 9/11, when we all mysteriously woke up, right? And went to the television, and we turned it on when we would not normally do that. How in the world did we all end up watching television that day? Okay? Was it God? How about it was via satellite and it was them getting into our thought process? Okay? And we'd be surprised if we knew how much domination they had over the human race thought process. I'm here to tell you, you can break free with it with the Holy Bible. Okay? We're all enduring it. And once you start having more freedom, you start expressing freedom, you start living, you start reaching out, as a writer, as an artist, as an inventor? Do you have a new resource for people to use in a manner that you're sick of seeing the same print, the same materials that have been being used for computers, et cetera, et cetera? You have your own idea for a restaurant? Well, chances are they're going to target you the second you start putting it in action. This has been going on for a long time. We just didn't know how it was happening. And now we do. And now we know that when you go to a concert, there is a good chance that your minds, when you go see to a mega church, thousands of people, when your kids go to school, there's people beaming stuff down on your brain, okay? Trying to warp your thoughts, trying to get your body to transition prematurely. Is it scary? Does it anger you? So, anyway, I am Tracilyn. I am here at Dayton, Ohio in VCAP Production Studio. That is by Tracilyn Michael, also known as VCAT. These people used to come around and say, why are you using your name, Tracilyn? Why are you using your name? You know? Why are you telling everybody? Why are you being a storyteller? Why are you outing everything? Why are you being a news reporter? Because I was mentioning in video my whole life story. Because I wanted to figure things out, smartass. And I would caution you about coming around in my presence from here on out with cautions of words of trying to give me the creeps. You know, it does freak you out at first because you realize you're being stalked. Okay, so you have a chip in the back of my head. All right, we all have a chip. Okay, and it's really sad when you figure these things out. But at least you figure them out and you know the truth. That's why they try to push it in on you very quickly, and people in the entertainment industry, like Chris Christopherson, like Bon Jovi, like Willie Nelson, like Toby, like the rest of these people, they're in on it somehow because they buzz around you during this time. And what that is, while they're manipulating the thought process, meaning other people are doing it via satellite, they do this to try to stimulate you into fear that you end up feeling that life is worthless and you might as well kill yourself. They try to get you. That's what they do to YouTubers. That's what they do to a lot of the suicides that you see online. A lot of that is cyber stalking by people in the social networks. It's in their satanic clan, okay? They dominate everything. Call your local radio station and tell them to stop singing or playing Tim McGraw on the radio and tell them it's time for real country music by Tracilyn. We've been given an idea that this is what country music is. That isn't country music. That's what we've been taught is country music. Real country music is sung by this person right here, written by her, and it's somebody who got in alignment with the Holy Scripture, the Holy Bible, and started applying what was taught into life and started realizing what life is really like in this country, and then wrote songs about it and sings about it. Some of them are upbeat songs, some of them may be sad, some of them touch base with the suicide subject. I have endured suicide many times. I've been in countless mental facilities, okay? They try to use this against you. Okay, they no longer incarcerate people for the stories that I have to share with you. And why is that? Because people have proven for years that once they're in the mental facility, what ends up happening is they try to induce them with drugs. Okay? They try to dope people up. That's just like with the government. If you're on any kind of assistance within Social Security and you're on one of the disabilities, you have to take a medication. That should be against the law and the government should be sued for that. You should not have to take a medication in order to receive compensation for the fact that you're being electronically harassed. Okay? That does cause major symptoms of depression, bipolar, angry, personality disorders, you name it. You're being jolted with electricity. Okay? A pill doesn't solve the problem. The military coming up front and taking care of the people and apprehending them is what needs to be done. Okay? For real. That's no joke. Prescribe that to the government. Tell them to get off their lazy asses and go to work and get these people. Okay? Take out the satellite that's beaming down on us. All right? They're getting paid. They're getting a salary. They're getting health care. Get to work. Send somebody over here to talk to me. Have them watch my videos. Have them go to Derby, New York. Have them to go question John Bon Jovi and Toby Keith. Willie Nelson. They know Steven. Okay? Why don't you search his house and see what information that he has there? Follow the trace, starting with people like Miley Cyrus or Billy Cyrus, Lady Gaga, and work backwards from there. And you'll learn that people are, what? Monitoring over them very, very closely. They like to watch very closely what they claim in this life, whatever that is. In other words, they claim humans. They claim land. They claim material possessions, creations of all kinds, patents. Okay? Invent something today. Invent it. Get started on a software program that will outdo and outperform. Start a new Facebook social site. Don't call it Facebook. Call it something else. Call it Body Book, Body Look. Call real name where it's real names. And make it really cool with videos, with true accounts on it, true views on it, true subscriptions on a channel. I have ideas to make YouTube look pathetic by a new invention of a social network and Facebook combined. Develop a software program and see how fast you realize that people are just right there confiscating everything from you. It's not just in music, folks. It's in automobiles. It's in everything. Restaurants, church structures, you name it. I finally understand what the people at LCBC were talking to me about on many subjects. With friends I met in mainstream music industry who told me stories. I finally witnessed what it's like just simply reaching out to a publisher who insists nothing gets put in writing. They want you to leave things behind for the state, if you will. They want you to use fictitious names. They're telling you, just give the stuff away for free. You don't need to copyright it with the Copyright Office. They'll keep on harassing you about it. Copyright it with the Copyright Office in DC. There's a reason why it's there. Because people like Steven will tell you there's no need to do it. Many recording artists will tell you, you don't have to copyright it. The second you write it on a piece of paper, the second you put it on your computer, you're right. You're right. It's already copyrighted and it has some entitlement. However, when you put it into the Copyright Office, let me tell you something. It makes it a little bit more frustrating for them to acknowledge. Okay? I mean, for them to be able to confiscate the songs that they want. Unless there's people on the inside of the DC that are changing paperworks, okay? Obviously, time will find out who owns what. These are extremely lazy people who simply work hard to steal the creations of other people and then profit life from it. And these people don't even live the life. That's what a big confused part of it is. They're just obsessed with taking things that don't belong to them and using them for whatever sick desires they have. So let's start destroying CDs from the 90s and say no more. It served its time. There are other recording artists today that can outperform, outsing, outright, and look better doing it and have a bigger heart for different reasons. Okay, and they smile in pictures unlike a lot of people who look country, serious look, or rock and roll. Gotta show the seriousness. I'm rock and roll. Yeah. That's tough. You suck.